What's up YouTube? Not sure if you've heard the news about Noah Sensei from Waza Wednesday, but he had a medical issue. And one thing we want to talk about is, like, as martial artists, we all strive to learn self-defense, to learn how to protect ourselves, but that's really not the end goal, right? There's a higher purpose to that, and I feel personally that you learn how to destroy things so that you can appreciate life, right? So it brings a whole type of humanity aspect to that. And whenever we see someone who's on the same mission as us and we see them struggling, we kind of feel that type of struggle for ourselves, since we are part of that same tribe, right? So if you guys are able to lend some support, either verbally, through messages, through donations, I know they have a GoFundMe for Sensei Richard, and just give them some positivity in this time of struggle.
Karate for me has been like a real big vehicle for just being able to hold myself as a human being. I believe like a lot of martial artists, whatever style they come from, I think they use it in that same way. Maybe some people don't know that's actually what's going on. But the whole idea of testing your metal, or you know, breaking things down so you can build them back up, it's kind of like, as a martial artist, you're choosing to do it willingly, right? You're inflicting that kind of like mental and physical pain and duress on yourself to make you a better human being, right? So yeah, it's of the utmost important that everybody try to be as supportive of one another when stuff outside of this realm also happens, right? Because that's the purpose of the stuff in this realm, is to make your life and the life of others around you better, like to make you physically better, to make you mentally better, and to make you also prepare you to be more physically adept and mentally aware to deal with hardships, whether they be an assailant, a malicious attacker, or just stressful events in life, right? So yeah, anything that anybody can do to, you know, spread the love to Sensei Richard, you know, it's always a good thing to do what one can.
So this week we're going to talk about opposite directions, or some people call it opposing forces. We mentioned this in a lot of different videos in the past, but I noticed that we don't actually have a separate concept video just for it. So the way we usually teach this is that the attacker, the opponent, can never think about two things at the same time, right? So imagine Aaron holds his wrist out like this, and I try to move both his wrists up. If he can feel this one movement because it's only one thing, right? Where I move it to the side, he can resist that. The other side, he can resist that. But if I go opposite directions, it's going to be very hard for him to think of where to go, right? And imagine opposite directions in all three planes, X, Y, and Z. So this goes up and down, this goes forward and back, goes down and up, goes in every possible way you can think.
Alright, so some reasons why you would want to be able to implement that idea is primarily for closing the distance on your opponent, and also for creating like slipping points and other areas of leverage to get a more advantageous position. So if we always talk about using that universal guard to break into an opponent, right? So after you've crushed it onto the opponent, you're met with this kind of force, right? So if you can go in opposing directions, it kind of really opens them up quite nicely, right? Even if you're pivoting around the opponent, if you can push one way and pull the other, right, you can do that as well. So remember, it's not just hands, it's not just here to get across into your opponent, but it's even like their body, right? So if he's anchoring onto me, then I can push him this way, pull and push this way, right? So I can push down and push up, right? Kind of a deal. And that's going in two opposing forces, two opposing directions.
Another thing to think about is about throws. Throws always uses these concepts of opposite directions, right? So if I'm going here, I'm pulling him and lifting him up. So this goes here and this one comes up. Same with a trip, right? I'm blocking this to go this way, and then I'm pulling his upper body in the opposite direction. So you're gonna see that all the time. One up, one down. That goes down, the arm goes up.
So you can kind of, if you have a willing partner, you can do some dummy drills. We've used this before and other stuff. And you can use it really specified. You can use it with katas, or you can use it just kind of free form. And basically what you want to do is just have them create some tension, and then you just want to practice pushing in different directions and moving your body also in like while you're doing it, right? You don't want to just stand here and do this number. It's not Karate Kid, right? So you want to be pushing so Michael kind of resists more, and I can push against and drive up. So I'm not really focusing on what I'm doing with what my hands are doing, more what I'm trying to pivot with my body or push with my body, right? So here, maybe my arm kind of goes aguke, or maybe I end up just driving with my elbow, right? And then if he gives me more resistance that way, I can pull it down, push up that way, kind of a deal.
So adding on to that, you can start from different ranges, right? So you can start from a distance and use opposite directions to close the distance. You can start from the clinch and use opposite directions to open the gap, right? And then also you can tell your opponent to do different reactions to that. So maybe you close the distance, you go opposite direction on the first try, and then he closes up again, you gotta do a second try. So it's like a counter to the counter, and it turns into a whole flow drill that's kind of free form, but it has a purpose, right? So for example, Aaron has a guard up, and I need to close the distance to go opposite directions, right? So I go opposite directions to figure out a way to close the distance. Now if we start off with the distance already closed, and I go opposite directions to do the same thing, right? Another drill is, let's say I go opposite directions and then he rebuilds his structure, so I gotta do it again. So it's a action, reaction, and then another action that goes in. So I open up the first one, he rebuilds, and I gotta open up the second one. Another example, I open up the first one, he rebuilds, and I open up the second one. Again, we're still going opposite directions. So now taking those katas, we can go into a tegumi type of sparring situation and use opposite directions as we're trying to close the distance. So here's an example of what we kind of do to make the drills more alive.